What's going on, everybody? My name is Travis from Bubba Pump. Today we got a little bit of a different video for you guys. It's going to be talking about how to diet down properly and how to get lean or shredded if you really want to. So without further ado, let's get into it. There's going to be a couple of things that we're talking to you guys about today. Basically the most important things that you need when you're dieting down, how to diet down, probably bust out a couple myths that people have made over the years and that's really believed. So the first thing we're going to talk about, the most important part, it's your diet. So people always assume cardio or your training or whatever, supplements are a lot more important than they are. In reality, the most important thing, whether you're bulking or trying to lose weight, it's gonna be how many calories you're taking in versus how many calories you're burning. So an example of this is if you're trying to bulk and you're not in a caloric surplus, you're not gonna be gaining weight. And the same goes for if you're trying to diet down. You can do as much cardio as you want, train as hard as you want, but if you're not in a caloric deficit, you're not gonna be losing weight. So that's the first thing you need to figure out. You need to figure out how many calories it takes for your body to maintain the same weight, and then you need to take a little bit from that to be in a caloric deficit. So an example of this is after you find out how many calories it takes for your body to maintain the same weight, you could take 300 calories from that and start your diet there. So for me, I started my diet at 2,800 calories because my maintenance calories is around 3,100 calories. So after that, what you do is you divide your macronutrients, which is your carbs, proteins, and fats, in between those calories. So what I did was I took 25% is gonna be my fats. And one gram of fat has 9 calories. 1 gram of protein and carbs, they both have 4 calories each. So I took 25% of my total calories is gonna be fats. So at the start, when I was eating 2,800 calories, I think 10 and a half weeks ago, my fats were at 77 grams. So that's what I started at. Then what I did is I took 1 pound per body weight to 1 gram of protein. So for me, I put it a little bit higher just because when you're cutting, you can even eat 1 to 1.5 grams. So I was eating around 200 grams of protein at the start of my diet also. And then what you do is you just fill the rest with carbohydrates. So you take those 2%, add them together, and whatever you have left, that's gonna be your carbs. So for me, when I started my diet, I was at 326 carbs, 77 grams of fat, and 200 grams of protein. And I just slowly lowered it and lowered it and lowered it. That's also another point too. You don't wanna lower your calories and your macronutrients too fast. If you lower them too fast, your body's just gonna go into shock. You're not only gonna lose more muscle and strength, but you can actually even slow down fat loss. You wanna slowly lower your calories so that your body's getting used to losing the weight. So that's the most important part. A good way you can track your diet is the app MyFitnessPal can track your macronutrients and your calories. So even if you go out to eat or something, they have pretty much everything on that app. You just have to learn how to get it in. Strongly recommend, even if you're just bulking, to track your meals, track your food, just so you have an idea of like how much you're eating, what you're eating. So the next thing we're gonna talk about when cutting down and getting lean and shredded is your training. So there's always a couple myths that's been going on for a really long time now, that when you're dieting down and you're trying to get shredded for summer, you need to completely change your training habits and how you train, which isn't necessarily true at all. People assume that when you start your diet and you're cutting down, you need to literally 15 to 20 reps on everything. You stop lifting heavy completely and you literally just go into the gym and focus on the pump. They think that that's the toning way, that's how you get defined, but in reality, that's completely wrong. The way you're gonna get defined muscles is with lower body fat percentage. So as your body fat trims off, you'll become more defined. In reality, especially, and this is all speaking from a natural lifter's point of view, if you're dieting down and you're trying to keep as much muscle and as much strength as possible, an advantage would actually be to keep training into that 3 to 5 rep range. Obviously, 9, 10, 11 weeks into your diet, you're not gonna be getting stronger, depending on where you're coming from or how far. But I know me, at this point, I'm just trying to maintain as much strength as possible. But at the start of your diet, you can actually still gain a little bit of strength, and you can definitely maintain more than people give credit to. So in reality, your training isn't actually gonna change that much, assuming you're doing smart, proper compound lift training, training your muscles twice a week and not doing a complete bro split. I remember my buddy last year did a physique competition and he was not ready to keep his strength, and he ended up putting everything lighter and just getting a pump and basically not really trying to keep any of his strength. He ended up losing a lot more muscle, and that strength took a lot longer to get back when he jumped back on a surplus. So it depends on how lean you're gonna get, but say me, I'm sub 8%, sub 7%. You have veins all over your abs, basically just look like a giant cock. At this point, the training for me is not as good as when I'm bulked up, have lots of food in me, lots of carbs and energy. And this week, especially because we're prepping for a photo shoot on Friday, I'm going 0 carbs for the next 3 days, and then I'm gonna do a carb load. So the training for me right now is really not ideal, but you can definitely maintain a lot more strength than you think. And maintaining that strength will help you keep that muscle that you put on during your bulking season. So the next thing we're gonna talk about is cardio. Cardio, everybody gets mixed up, believes, like I said, they think that's the most important part or your training. Cardio is nothing but a tool. Yes, it can be very useful to help you get through that last little bit of leanness and also just drop some water weight. And yes, it's also healthy. But people literally assume cardio is the most important thing when trying to lose weight. So if your diet's not on point, you can do as much cardio as possible, you're still not gonna lose any of that weight. So basically with cardio, there's a couple of things you need to remember. What my suggestion would do is in the first couple weeks of your diet, don't actually use any cardio. Because the thing is you're gonna wanna see if your diet's actually helping you lose that weight, and it's not just that little bit of cardio helping you drop the water weight or that body fat percentage. You're not gonna have a clear view on if your diet is actually helping you lose weight or if it's just the cardio that you're adding into your diet. I would say wait a couple weeks, and then when you do start to add in cardio, slowly add it in. Don't do cardio 5, 6, 7 times a week right at the start. I would suggest even 2 to 3 times a week, and as your diet goes on, as your calories get a little bit lower, maybe start to up the cardio. And this is all depending on how lean you want to get. If you're just trying to get summer lean, you don't actually need to do that much cardio at all, and you probably don't have to drop your calories that low. Now, what I did this year was I got a little bit too lean. I didn't even do a show, but I'm still getting pretty shredded. I wouldn't necessarily suggest getting this lean if you're trying to keep a balanced lifestyle, because there's things that happen when you get to lower body fat percentages that just are not ideal for your life or anything, but it's pretty extreme. And I don't normally preach this lifestyle, but if you are gonna go extreme, sometimes you have to. So there are 2 different types of cardio. Either or people do. I'm gonna give you a couple advantages of one type and disadvantages of the other and stuff. The 2 types of cardio that there are is there's HIIT cardio, high intensity intervals. So what this is gonna be is something like running hills. So you're gonna be doing short bursts, really high intensity. It's not gonna be as long, and you're gonna be sweating. You're gonna feel like you're really working hard. An advantage of this is people feel like they're really in the zone. They enjoy it because they feel like they're actually doing something. The disadvantage of this is depending on how hard you do it, it can actually affect your training a little bit more than other types of cardio. So say you're doing high intensity intervals 4 or 5 times a week, you may notice you're a little bit more exhausted in the gym, or your strength may take a little bit more of a toll than say you're doing the other type of cardio, which is LISS. So LISS stands for low intensity sustained state. So what's this gonna be? It's gonna be less intense, it's gonna be for a longer period of time, and you're gonna sustain the same intensity pretty much the entire time. So what I've been really enjoying doing this year is I do 45 minutes on the Stairmaster, I do a fat burning workout, and I put the intensity at say like 5. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna slowly up, go a little bit more intense, then slowly come down, and then there's a little tiny push at the end. It's not nearly as intense as if I were to do wind sprints or hill sprints or any high intensity interval cardio. The thing about LISS that's gonna be advantages, it's not gonna be that hard on your body, probably isn't gonna affect your training too much at all depending on how intense it is. The disadvantage of LISS that a lot of people find is it's boring and it takes a while. So if you don't want to stand on the Stairmaster for 45 minutes, then you'll probably be better off doing something like HIIT. Obviously there's those times where it's midnight and you're just trying to go home. You don't want to spend 45 minutes on the Stairmaster. You gotta do what you gotta do. All right, so the last subject I'm actually gonna talk about today is basically just how to keep balance in your diet. So I talked a lot about lowering your calories and tracking your macros, and a lot of people don't realize that you can actually fit in a lot more foods and a lot more things into your diet than they see either on the internet or what they thought you had to do for dieting. So everybody assumes that you just have to eat chicken and rice, sweet potatoes, like nothing dirty for 12 weeks straight if you want to eat lean. And the funny part actually is you can eat extremely clean. You can eat the most bro foods out there. If you're not tracking your macros or calories, you probably could be still eating too much and actually still be gaining weight. So this comes back to tracking your calories and make sure you're in a caloric deficit. So this is where If It Fits Your Macros comes in. So basically what this means is you eat 90% of your diet is gonna be whole foods and clean, and it's gonna fill you up more and make sure you're not as hungry throughout the day. The If It Fits Your Macros part is, say 10% of that food you want it to be dirty or not clean food or whatever. You can save, for example, like what I like to do, I'll do intermittent fasting during the morning and probably have my first meal around 2 or 3 o'clock. If you save a lot of calories for the end of the day, you could have pretty low calories and still be eating something that satisfies you. So if you go to Harvey's and you have 2 hamburgers, you just need to save more carbs and more fat near the end of the day so you can have those things, and then probably have to eat pretty clean for the rest of your meals, but you can still fit in the foods that people see as dirty foods or bulking foods. So what this will help do is not only are you gonna be able to enjoy the foods you still love while dieting, but it's also gonna keep you a little bit sane so that you don't go on a huge binge and you just eat everything in sight. If you just add in a couple, like they're not even cheat meals because you fit them into your calories, but if you just add in a couple of those dirty foods, say 3-4 times a week, or even less or more if you want, it's whatever you want, it'll keep you sane, it'll keep you a little bit more focused on your diet, and you won't have any more urges to binge as much as if you were to just eat clean foods for 12 weeks straight. Another way you can fit in calories that aren't necessarily good calories. Now, I'm not saying this is gonna help you. This is definitely not gonna be an advantage to your diet, but like we were saying, we're trying to preach a balanced lifestyle. So another thing that people fit into their diet and they can still lose weight is alcohol. So when you're drinking alcohol, the important thing to keep in mind, like I said before, is this is not gonna help you one bit. Alcohol itself has 7 calories. So it is literally the definition of empty calories. It's not carbs, it's not fats, it's not gonna help you maintain muscle. If anything, it's gonna be a disadvantage to you. But if you're still trying to enjoy your life while you're cutting, still trying to go out with friends, there is ways that you can fit it into your diet. So basically, if I knew I was going out the night, like this night, and I already knew what alcohol I was gonna drink, basically what I'd do is I'd just plug it into MyFitnessPal right away, and then that's my alcohol for the day, and I just have to eat around that. Say I know I'm drinking at night, I'll plug in, say, vodka or whatever, because that's the lowest calorie alcohol you can find. And then during that day, what I do is I just eat around it. May take a little bit from my protein. You want to keep your protein pretty high though. Maybe a little bit from fats, and a lot of it's going to be coming away from your carbohydrates. If you are drinking at night, you're probably going to have to eat a little bit less during the day and probably feel a little bit hungrier, but it's depending on what you want to do. If you're trying to have a couple drinks near the end of the night with your friends, or if you really want to get super drunk, you're gonna have to save more calories. The one good part about drinking when you're dieting is it's not gonna take you as much to get drunk as say you were bulking, especially since you're lighter and your body is just a little bit more delicate. The one thing I'll say on alcohol too is it's important to choose the right alcohols to make sure that you're not having way too many calories and really starving yourself. I enjoy beer as much as the next person. It's probably my drink of choice or two. Corona, shout out Milk Boys. It's Corona season, baby. If you're trying to drink lower calorie stuff, kind of leaning towards your diet, what I would suggest you do is drink a liquor. So drink something like vodka, because it's going to be the lowest calories for the alcohol to get it into your diet. So if you do want to have a couple beers, go for it, fit that into your diet if that's really what you enjoy. But say you're trying to go out and you're just trying to party, liquor is going to be a lot less calories, and you'll probably be able to have a little easier time fitting that into your diet than say beer or wine or something like that. Another thing too is if you are going to chase your alcohol, you're not going to be a savage and drink it straight, then you're probably going to want to use something like a Diet Pepsi or vodka waters, anything with no calories, because those chasers are probably going to be the worst part of drinking total. You're putting Red Bull or putting anything with lots of carbs, lots of sugar, that's definitely going to be the one that affects you the most when you're going out drinking with your friends on a diet. Hopefully that helped you out. Hopefully it gives you a little bit better of an idea of how you need to diet down, how you can do it while still enjoying your life and keeping a balanced lifestyle. Other than that, thanks for watching, boys. We'll see you guys in the next video. Big things coming. Peace.